Good evening and welcome to Face for the Newsfirst team. I'm Niresh Eliathambi. Well, we've just finished one election, a big one, presidential election 2024, and now we will very soon be having yet another big election, the general election of 2024, where we get to select 225 new members of parliament, and it remains to be seen how many of the old members will be re-elected and how many fresh faces we will see this time. Joining us this evening is Mr. Chathuranga Abeysinghe, no stranger to our programs. He represents the National People's Power, or NPP. Chathuranga,
good evening.
You look calm, relaxed and happy.
Yes, I have been it's a great victory for us, and it paid off a lot of hard work, not only by the party but also by the citizens of this country. For the last 2 months it has been a campaign of every citizen, and this probably is the election where citizens congratulate citizens. But apart from that, for the last few days we are again busy putting things in place and ensuring that the governance structures are in place and the right decisions are taken, and also now have to get ready for the general election as well. So there is no calm and quiet place, but from a psychological perspective and our mind, we are extremely happy with the outcome.
So Chathuranga, for the presidential election, you had a long time to prepare.
Yeah.
2.5 years,
yes,
pretty much.
Yes, that is how long we campaigned. Yes.
Yes, and you had time to strategize and plan it out, train your representatives on party policy and so on. Are you ready for the general election, because you have basically a month and a half to go?
Yeah, Dinesh, so actually for NPP, our plan is the general election. So we are just one hurdle away. There's, probably the 9th hurdle, the 10th hurdle is the general election. So we planned all for that. So I think it's not us who's in trouble now, the other parties, because we knew how it's going to pan out. So it's the presidential election, and then we have to go for a very strong parliament. So our entire campaign ends there. So basically what we did for the presidential election, including the last advertisement which was published at 11:59, and to 14th of November everything is planned and we just have to execute it.
Excellent. Now you said everything has been planned.
Yes.
Does that mean that some thought has already gone into the nominations?
Yes, yes. So basically 4 main districts we know who's going to contest, and they have been aware of their presence and how they took part in the campaign, especially in the local election campaigns. If anyone would like to see our previous campaigns, you would have seen it's only Anura who went.
Right.
It's not like other parties, like everybody goes behind the presidential candidates, and it's every district there's a team, strong team, and we do have a good structure which has the NPP as a party. Then we have the ex-military, then we have the teachers, we have the professionals, the businessmen. So among these there are certain individuals who have shown interest to be part of political structure, and at the same time some people were behind the curtains as well until this change happened. So there are certain people who will basically come into election as fresh faces, and there will be a very strong national list.
Excellent. Let me ask you specifically the role of women in your party. We saw a great many women, including professionals and women from rural areas coming to the fore and campaigning quite actively. Are we likely to see that movement transferred into the nominations as well?
Yeah, that was the main objective. So in Sri Lanka, mostly females were used in election as a cluster to gain votes. So NPP was the party who kind of created a space. If you ask any of our politically active females, they have been given the opportunity to carry their own views and different views, and also be part of political decision making structures who are willing to do so. And there has not been any limitations of a structure that hinders their growth. So if you look at the entire campaign, the biggest campaign would have been on females and women across the country rallying around National People's Power. And as we created Kottasha Sabhas around most of the Grama Seva divisions, we do have a female version of that as well, the women version. And similarly, there's a district women structure. So I would see, the thing is, we have to be very much aware that Sri Lanka, the female participation is low in any terms, but we would see a significant proportion of females representing National People's Power list. Now we have the a female Prime Minister who she is giving leadership and inspiration. So I would see a lot of women are putting their hand up to contest. That was the main barrier. Now that barrier is broken, and there's a lot of inspiration and confidence. We would see that, because even they're active. When someone asks whether you would like to run, people kind of hesitate. But that, I think, with Harini's appointment, that would be broken as well.
Absolutely, I agree with you on that, because we do see the appointment of Dr. Harini as Prime Minister as being something of a groundbreaking event in this country.
I mean, she's the first Prime Minister who never came through a family background of politics, or through power politics. It's basically working in the spaces she would like to work with, and NPP giving her the opportunity in 2019, and that has made a significant, a remarkable change to Anura's victory as well as president. So I think this is what we would like to walk the talk. So it is happening.
So right now, or up to yesterday, before the parliament was dissolved, the number of women in parliament was abysmal. It was the lowest in South Asia, including behind Afghanistan and Pakistan, Bangladesh. There were far more, including India. Now, with more women being nominated from the NPP, how much further will it progress? Are we talking about, now we have over 50% of women of citizens in this country are women. So up to how much will it go?
I mean, I can't guarantee a number now, but for the nomination list, if there's someone who's willing to contest, we would put that person with that caliber, right? So that is the guarantee that NPP can give. And in terms of the limitations in Sri Lanka, one is that women not happy to join politics because it is considered corrupt power play, and it's not for even a profession. I mean, even for us to get into politics was a difficult thing to think, but NPP has given that platform. Even for me to come as a professional and do what I'm doing today, was the ecosystem was right. So I think there will be more and more females, that initial entry barrier will be broken at NPP. And secondly, our party does not go on this individual campaigns. So that is also another support for females who comes in, that they don't have to spend billions of rupees, because party funds, I mean, even for us, right? So we run a campaign, a common campaign, and people can look at the list and look at the merits and capabilities and vote. so we don't necessarily go across the district. We don't have to. So I think these two factors will allow more representation in the next parliament for sure.
Now, that's an interesting point you made about the campaign financing, because our Sri Lankan tradition, as you know, has been that nominees go to their local businessmen, whether it's the hardware shop owner or some other businessman, and say, can I have your contribution?
Legit or illicit, they go to them. Yes.
And so there's a lot of what turns into black money swilling around, and even the parties are unaware of how much is contributed, and so on. But you're saying that the NPP is breaking that system.
We have already. So even historically also, I mean, there's option for you to choose which number. That is there, that preference is there. But in terms of the campaign, we get something from a friend, like a businessman or a contribution that goes into the main party. So that the party has a campaign, we just get on the stage where it's required. So I think in that sense, there's a lot less conflict of interest. We all know that the current political, I mean the election system makes people corrupt. That is a perception, right? That is a perception, or that is the outcome that we have seen. So our party is trying to be in that system, ensuring that there is no conflict of interest that will create among our candidates, because for us, we put the best, we will put, I mean Colombo will put the best 21 we have, and it doesn't necessarily mean that the party has a preference or who comes into parliament, because we have a policy book that needs to implement.
Are you hoping to be one of those 21 nominees from Colombo?
Well, we haven't.
You have campaigned very hard, of course.
Yeah, I mean, Kotte I've organized for the last 2.5 years, because we were planning for the local elections. I was running for mayor.
Right.
And there's a good base, and for first time we won Kotte as well. And that's an amazing change. And Colombo, overall, NPP has done well. So, based on the current trajectory, it looks like I will have to run. We haven't had that chat with the party yet,
right?
Because now we do have to choose between who's running and who's taking responsibilities in the government. So that discussion needs to happen, where I would fit well, because it's an overall strategy that we need to. So if we collectively decide Chathuranga can play a pivotal role in Colombo, I would agree to that. But what we really want is this country to move forward.
Right. Let's get back to the campaign financing. Now, under your new system, it would make it difficult for, say, businessmen to contribute and then ask for favors in return. Yes. Yeah. So because what happens right now is that someone contributes, and then once that
he
person
personally expects
he expects something in return.
Yeah.
But in the case of the NPP, that system is going to be broken.
Yeah, even now. So we budgeted for about 1.8 billion, if I can remember.
That was the maximum
presidential election. And that was financed through various means on the ground, different. I mean, even in court, we collected money. I did collect money from certain people, professionals and businessmen, and that was put into the main program. So I don't know whether that entire pot was spent on Kotte, right? It was spent on the entire Anur Disanayaka campaign. So that's how we work. So we don't have a problem with somebody giving me money and I'm being liable to him. We upfront says this money goes to the party, and there is no don't expect anything. It's like that it just goes for the common cause.
Right. And of course in more mature democracies, the actual funders, the people who contribute, their names are up there. The list is given and how much they have contributed.
Yes.
Do you envisage that kind of thing?
Not at this moment. So we understand that progression has to be made. So what we see is we are progressing as a country. we had the most calm and non-violent election ever.
Yes, why is that? I mean, there are various various reasons.
People have progressed. People have progressed, and as a party who became victorious, we were disciplined since Aragalaya. So our party kind of disciplined everyone, saying our only way that we can lose what we have is us becoming violent, because our history brings a lot of bad images to people, and that's been used as a campaign. So our very strong policy is not to even use words that is violence. So that has been the case for us for the last many years, and even in this election, I don't know what other parties did, but from our perspective, the 2 days that we had, 18th, 19th and 20th, we spoke to everyone in the party through Zoom. And we ensured that we are going to win, but that win has to be not has to be a cost of anybody else, right? So even to have Kiribat parties, to crackers, we said let's don't induce people to do it. If someone does it, we can't avoid, but let's not make it a party policy or a hype that will create disturbance to other people. So that we've adhered. So therefore, and there's a smooth after election presence.
Now the curfew, which was slapped on that evening at 10 p.m. and then extended again up to noon the next day, there's been a lot of criticism of this, including 2 nights ago we had the chief observer of the European Union observation mission, and he said on our program that that is a very strange thing to do, because everyone first congratulated the public for a peaceful election and behaving in such a wonderful manner, and then in the night, in the middle of the night, a curfew is slapped on. So that contrast, it seemed bad for the country as well.
It didn't go bad as a country, because I think, we can't tell much about it, because it was not our rule until Mr. Disanayake gave votes. So, but there was a huge, what do you call, story, fabricated fake story that was built, that if NPP wins, there's going to be a kind of violence. So probably that is why. But from party perspective, we think that was a good decision, whoever took it. That because we didn't lose anything out of it, right? It was anyway election day, and it went up to 12 p.m. Of course, generally election and a day after, there's less work. There would have been loss of production, but that is to make a extremely a huge power transformation. This is not from party to party, Niresh. This is basically changing the entire landscape of the politics of the country.
Absolutely.
This is the third party coming into power. So I think the risk would have been higher, and that was managed, and we would like to thank the government also as well.
So changing the landscape, how quickly do you think that the reforms will begin to be implemented? I know it's early days. The president took oaths only yesterday.
Yes.
And then of course
the
so how long is this going to
be? It's going to be progressive. So even His Excellency Andrew Disanayaka's speech today, he said we are going to step by step. We can't transform everything overnight, because there's a structure, and we just come in, we still don't have the political power fully. We have the executive, we don't have the legislature.
Right.
And also the government service, also we decided to run with mostly the people who are there, because it's a very sensitive, very fragile situation. What President mentioned today also, that our main focus is to ensure the economic stability is protected. So certain changes will take some time. But from what we can do as a culture, what we can do as politicians, what we can show as examples, that has taken place already. So you would have seen probably the shortest ceremony for president to sworn in.
Short and sweet, yes.
Short and sweet, and we didn't spend even on a sandwich. Right? So I mean, I'm just being very happy about it, because that's what it should be, because it's people's money. People are not having food on the table, and how would the president spend anything beyond what is necessarily needed? And then we see hundreds of vehicles getting parked, and if it was not Anura, they must be running now with 5 liters per kilo, 5 liters per kilometer. So what I'm trying to say is, the steps that we are taking to the progress and structural changes will happen after the citizens who did not vote for us when they vote on 14th.
Now, let me ask you about these vehicles.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to them? Because certainly what we see now is staggering. I mean, we have seen all those vehicles being driven on the road,
Yeah.
but we've never seen them all parked together like this.
And it's very small portion that we are seeing. So what we are seeing now, the President's office is having 850 vehicles. And
850
vehicles, and 250 has been given to various other people. Those are the ones now who have come parked, because if you are handing over Niresh, there's a process to hand over. You just don't park and give the key and run away. You know? So most of these.
Is that what's happening?
So majority is that.
Okay.
Right, and obviously there's other vehicles where the ministers used. And so what's parked around the presidential office is what those are. That means the person who took it know that he never had a right to take it. So they've just parked it and given the key and gone, and we have to now find out.
So there's no signing over process or anything. They just parked it, handed the key to the
security. So now we have to do the investigation, yes.
Oh, I see. Now these vehicles, they are not your 20-30-year-old vehicles. These are all brand new, or just a year or two, super luxury.
We haven't decided what to do, but we already know that the tourism industry lacks a lot of good vehicles, and there are certain industrial use of these things, and we will take, I mean, it will take some time for us to take an entire count and what should be the pool the government should have. So our policy is that even you know, certain officials, when they have official work, they can pick the best out of the lot, and even the parliamentarians will have a pool of vehicles. You will be given a very good vehicle. I mean, there's enough good vehicles, and when you go back you have to hand it over. So for your public service, we will not hinder the comfort. That is not our objective. Our objective is to reduce the number of vehicles that's been misused, right? So we haven't decided categorically what to do with them, but first we are trying to get the count.
Well, if I may make a suggestion, the government is short of money, so why not sell most of it?
Obviously that's an option, but and also now there's less imports of vehicles, so people are searching for good vehicles.
Absolutely.
So let's see, I mean, as a government, whether we can auction them all or we can put it back into a specific purpose as tourism. Let's see.
Right. Now, speaking of vehicles, there was some talk that the ban on import of vehicles was going to be lifted. In fact, the last government took a cabinet decision a few days before the election, which was very strange, because they seem to be to have assumed that they would be coming back as the cabinet to implement it.
Those decisions which was taken 2 weeks before, that is increase of salary, and then in terms of import of vehicles, certain restrictions were removed just to get some votes. Right?
Election gimmicks.
Election giving. So we have to now, we decided to run with the same secretary and in the finance ministry. So we'll need to have a chat with the rationale, and if it's possible we would allow it, right, if the country currency situation is good and if it will not impact the exchange rate. We wouldn't mind going with the decision, but that needs to be evaluated. But I'm asking people not to lose hope. Obviously, it's going to be opened up, that we don't have to restrict it so far, because we are seeing that within next few months we will have more remittances and investments coming in as well. So there's a greater, I mean, I would say greater probability the what do you call, the decision might remain, and the decision might have certain classifications of priority, like industrial vehicles prioritized, vehicles for transportation prioritized, and then the private vehicles, because it has another benefit as well, because it's another form of tax collection. People are willing to pay that tax, no? So that is also another benefit. So these things will be discussed, Niresh, because we are doing the budget for 2025, which the new finance minister will present on after the new parliament, 21st of November. Probably that will be the first event in the parliament. So within that budget we will decide how these numbers will work.
So hold that thought on taxes and budgets, because we have to take a short break. We'll be right back. We are in conversation with Mr. Chathuranga Abeysinghe of the NPP. Don't go away. Welcome back to Face to Face. We are in conversation with Chathuranga Abeysinghe of the NPP. Chathuranga, before the break we started talking about taxes.
Yes.
And this is, well, next to corruption, it's probably the biggest issue, because people are groaning and straining and they can't find enough food. 7 million people are below the poverty line, of which about 3.5 to 4 million fell below that poverty line in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And the reason for it is the high taxes. You have VAT, you have pay tax, you have all kinds of taxes which collectively has led to the price of goods, including essential food items, skyrocketing. Now the expectation, I'm sure you will agree with me, is that there will be a reduction of at least some taxes to bring the essential items and other items within the reach of the ordinary people. What steps and what progress can we expect?
So, Niresh, the ones that we presented in the budget was very well thought through. So the taxes on the essential items, there are few items still taxed VAT on agricultural products locally made, and some health equipments and inputs and books and stuff, right? So education. So these VAT, which was initially at 0% and went up to 18%, that will be removed. I can't guarantee the date, but it's going to happen within these 2 months. And also the pay, we promised that we will increase the slab to 100,000. So those things, I think what was promised in the manifesto will crystallize. But anything beyond that, we have to see the progress of collection, progress of expenditure reduction. Based on that only we can slowly bring the overall VAT down. And also certain industries are hindered of their growth, especially gem and jewellery and certain industries, with this new VAT. But this we can't do it single-handedly. We are now starting the conversations with IMF. We now got green light to discuss, and some positive signs all around the world. And those conversations will take place within these few weeks. And with that we will fight for it, and we will ensure that the people get that benefit.
You spoke of the IMF, and the IMF has put out a very encouraging statement.
Yes.
and of course you can expect a lot of cooperation from them, I presume.
Yes, I think we've been very clear for the last 2 to 3 months what's our stance on the IMF, because obviously we initially had a very different view of resolving this problem, but whilst understanding the current solution is within the IMF program, so our policy was to kind of work with them, work together and be within the framework. So I think that is what IMF has recognized, and the mandate of the people, because we knew if our policies manifesto, which already has a renegotiation and a DSA, alternative DSA discussion within the policy, and that policy is being mandated by people, and IMF also has a responsibility to work with the new government. I think they have very openly said that, and the Moody's have also sent a positive signal. I think stock market is also giving a great confidence. I think Sri Lanka is on good trajectory, and we feel the current program of the fourth review and also the debt restructuring negotiations. His Excellency Anura Disanayake today, even in his speech, said that is on top of his mind, and that is something that we need to get that's a hurdle that we need to cross within this month. So I think that is how it's going to happen. So nobody has to worry about the false fear mongering that happened before the election.
Right. Now you said two words which struck me just now. You said His Excellency. Now the last president, Ranil Wickremesinghe, when he assumed office, specifically said, "Don't call me Your Excellency." So he became President Ranil Wickremesinghe. What's the correct terminology now?
So Comrade Anura Disanayake is what we like to use, but I am still getting used to it. It's not a common narrative yet. So for the carefulness, I use those words. But he also said, "Call me Anura and call me Comrade." That's not a big problem. But for the courtesy of the program and all that, I use that word. It's not something that's been registered yet.
Okay, so I assume we'll have better clarity on that in the coming days.
It's not
and
a
weeks.
policy, it's something that we'll get used to.
Yes, it's just a minor detail.
Anuraya for us always, so let's see.
Right. Then we saw very quickly the relationship with India being strengthened. The Indian High Commissioner had visited and so on.
Not so, Nilesh. We've been in the touch for the last 1.5 years. So I think the citizens also has facts that Anura was the only presidential candidate that was officially invited to India a year ago. And the other main candidate, Sajith Premadasa, did not visit either of these countries, China or India. So we've been building that relationship. Even there is a lot of negative kind of words used in the Indian media, like Marxist, Leninist presidential candidate. So I don't know what purpose that's been used, but again, we've been very progressive. We've been very much in touch with the Indian High Commission as well as the counterparts on the other side, that we are very open for this economic prosperity, and we understand their requirements, and we've been very blunt. We've said that we don't like the deal that was struck between Adani. We had to really look at it. So even Anura saying that before the election, and we have a good conversation and good progress being made. I think it's good relations.
Now, the words Marxist and Leninist, they were in fashion 50 years ago.
Yeah. We didn't use it in our campaign,
yes.
right? And the JVP has that background, and Anura has been such a person who transformed into a very progressive political mode. And Marxism, Leninism is also a theory that progress with the world. If you take China, China is called a communist country and Vietnam is called a communist country, but They use various tactics which was not used in 1917. So it's a concept or a thinking that moves around. But these days people don't necessarily associate those words. That's why I said in our campaign it was not used. But if you look at the Indian media, that's heavily the introduction to Anura Disanayake.
Interesting indeed, but perhaps it's not quite correct to describe.
Yeah, I think it will give a bad image because the world does not have a good reading about this. Not many people, but certain areas of the world are studying this because the current system is not working. So I think it's a narrative. I think there should be a fair narrative to Anura, saying left-lean leader. Left political party. I think that's much fairer because we consider ourselves as the left.
Correct. Now let's get back to the budget, which you said would be presented shortly after the next election. The election, of course, is due now on the 14th.
21st is the first day of the parliament.
Right. So we can expect just shortly after the 21st that there would be a presentation of a budget.
Yes.
But is that too soon? I ask this because you would be campaigning up to the November 14th election, including the president. So would he have the time to go into preparing a budget?
Skip, because that's going to be the landmark budget for Sri Lanka for this change. Because if we were to continue what we have been doing, it's just extrapolation of numbers and putting it to 30, 60 ministries and getting to do something. But we are changing the ministries, we are changing the scope, we have a policy book that needs to get implemented, short-term ones. So this is a major priority. So we have to start work immediately because generally the budget is presented in November, early November, late October, November every year. But given the election period, now we have to push it to November, end of November. So it's our duty, whilst we have effort on the campaign, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a smooth sail. And the other side, there should be a team who's focused on getting the right budget in.
Now, when you look at the electoral map of Sri Lanka after last Saturday, if this were a first past the post sort of system in the general election, certainly the NPP would definitely have the majority. But it's not a first past the post system, it's the proportional representation system. With that in mind, how confident are you of a majority?
So if we had this on the preferential one, we would have got 105, right?
Okay.
So we feel that there was a lot of votes we missed to two reasons. One is the amount of misinformation and false campaign. I can give you a few ones. The poem before the election was used across the island to tell within every temple, or not every temple, many temples, that when NPP comes into power, they will remove the 9th clause of the manifesto, which gives priority to Buddhism.
The constitution.
Constitutional. So basically they said that. And they used to say that, we have now taken legal actions as well, that when NPP comes to power, that it will abolish the Perahara.
The Dalada Perahara.
And then they said when NPP comes to power, they will go and attack the opponents' houses and take money and grab land and grab vehicles. So these were running around a lot of people's minds. So we feel that those prevented people from voting for NPP. That is one. Second is that it's our problem that our communication in Tamil language has been very poor, and we didn't had enough candidates or people who are doing it. So we had to work very hard on the North and East. That is something that we have to fix. The third one, why we will get a better majority going forward, there are four. Third one is the actions that Anura is taking these days, again very much appreciated by the people who didn't vote. And lastly, we wouldn't have opposition. So Samagijana Balawegi is already broken into two, where Sajith Premadasa continues to say that he will be the Prime Minister, he's going to campaign. Whereas we don't see the likes of his Economic Council and the new people who joined. Sajith is part of that team. I don't know whether it's true or false.
But it's still early days.
Yeah, but let's see. And then Ranil Wickremesinghe's votes, which was 17% of the votes, entire votes casted, was based on his giving him credit for what he has done, rather than the 92 people behind him. So when he is not going to contest, obviously that camp also is in trouble. So I think we do have a better chance of getting a very strong parliament in the election, and we just have to put the right candidates and right national list to the election.
What do you think of former President Ranil Wickremesinghe's decision not to run for office
This
again?
was explained to me yesterday in a TV program by Professor Ashumara Singh. He said that in UMP policy, generally presidents do not come back to, ex-presidents do not come back to parliament. This was broken by Maithripala Sirisena and Mahinda Rajapaksa. In the tradition of UNP, that doesn't necessarily happen. So that probably that gives a kind of a idea where Ranil Wickremesinghe will not run for a prime minister role. Maybe he will be in politics, but then people don't have that figurehead to vote for.
Right, that does make sense, because the UNP presidents have not actually contested in for parliament.
It's a little after you serve as the first
first citizen of
the land, and it's just because you need some power or you still want to be in politics only that you would come. I think for fairness of Ranil Wickremesinghe, he still claims that he did a lot of work for 2 years, and I think that kind of draws a line for him in politics in Sri Lanka.
I think history will be the judge of his performance, as with the performance.
And his transition also, I mean, it's been very professional and democratic.
Right. Now let's get to the minorities. Any surprises there? Did you expect more support from the minorities?
We did expect close to about 20%, but we didn't got in certain areas, but certain areas we did well. In terms of postal votes, we have done well. We didn't expect majority anyway, but it's been splitted into 4 now. The Sajith Premadasa, Ranil Wickremesinghe, and then the independent candidate and Anuradha Disanayake. But we are very happy that the North and East looked at the possibility of a single party that can address entire nation. So we have to do a lot of work. This is because what we've done was not enough for us to get what we wanted.
So what more needs to be done?
So within this short span, we will have to kind of reach out. I think the president will have to do a lot of bridging towards it, and we haven't still decided whether we will join hands with anyone, and we need to be able to provide some confidence, and I think there was appointments now for as
governors and so on. Yes.
Appointments were done, so that might also have some positive impact. But let's see, we haven't decided what we will do differently yet.
Now, since the result of the election was announced, have any other political parties reached out to the NPP?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Do you expect any of them?
So we have in a very strong policy that people who has governed thus far has no ability to join with us as a party. But as an individual, we always welcome people if they don't have a bad record, if their willingness to be part of a change, that is still open, but not as parties. So that policy still remains.
Right. Now, even in the areas outside the northeast, the predominantly Sinhalese areas, there were, of course, overwhelmingly most electorates went to AKD, but there were a few where that didn't happen.
Yes.
So there's a bit of a contrast there, isn't it?
Yeah, so I think this is a good reflection of our strength on the ground. So we take it that, because there was anyway general sentiment that NPP would win. But if you take Kandy and Ratnapura and the Monragala, and even in Anuradhapura, there were certain electorates that was lost. So we are now doing a kind of a reassessment. It can be due to the team who was on the ground, which was not efficient enough, or it can be due to another factor of another party that influenced it, because we have now information from certain areas that the campaign was run by saying their local representative will become the Prime Minister. So people would have thought that's true. So there were certain campaigns now we are hearing. So we just have to investigate what happened there and correct it. Because we are going to win whatever we want in a better way. Where we lost, we have to put some mind time and probably put some strong candidates.
Are you happy with the performance of the NPP in the major districts? I mean, in Gampaha, in Colombo,
So I think this directly has a correlation between technology, education and middle class. So it looks like it. So I think our ability to address the business community and the professional workforce has been very strong, and we ran a campaign without race, religion being part of it. We ensured that we were very open, we were out there for people to discuss, and I think Gampaha, Kalutara and Colombo has given a very strong message. Winning Dehiwala, winning Boralla, winning Kotte, I think these are remarkable changes. I think what we have done has worked. And I think that will continue, and I think Kandy we can do better, Gold we can do better, Anuradhapura we can do better, and obviously Monragala and the East and then Jaffna.
And I'm afraid we are out of time. Chathuranga Abeysinghe representing the NPP, thank you very much for joining us this evening, and thank you to you at home for joining us, and don't go away because the news is coming up next. Have a good evening.